Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater. And Disney in live action movies, they make money. And that is true. They make money. And so every time they make money, Disney decides that it's a good idea to go and make another one. Even though a lot of people are like, would you just make original content? We'd prefer it if you made original content. Disney stops and goes, no, because we make original content and none of you go and see it, which is kind of true. Right, The Lone Ranger, not really original content, but another adaptation. John Carter, kind of again, another adaptation. Tomorrowland, that was original, pretentious, but original, and nobody went to go see it. Again, a Memorial Day movie fallout from 2015. The whole point here is that Disney understands that their live action films, they don't do very well, but their live action film adaptations of old animated classics do very, very, very well. And that's why I'm bringing up Snow White right here, because news is breaking today that apparently Disney will remake Snow White with Amazing Spider-Man director Marc Webb. And that my first thought when I read that was, so that's where Marc Webb has been. Okay, where has Marc Webb been since 2014? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? That movie came out, Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, and his dreams of Amazing Spider-Man 3 went out with it, as well as any dreams of doing a Sinister Six went out with it. And the fact that Sony made that movie by committee really ultimately ended up hurting Marc Webb, who I think caught the brunt of the pushback from that film, or the fallout from that movie. And so now he's being talked to by Disney, supposedly, in order to do a remake of Snow White. And yeah, I mean, I guess. Anyway, so it says here, with Disney still finding success remaking their classic animated movies in live action form, Aladdin's already made $267 million worldwide. The company will next turn to its very first cartoon for source material. According to Variety, Disney is prepping a live-action version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, with the top choice to direct it being the Amazing Spider-Man director Marc Webb, saying here that Girl on the Train screenwriter Aaron Cressetta Wilson is in negotiations to pen the script, which will expand upon the story and music from the 1938 classic. Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, the duo behind La La Land, The Greatest Showman, and Dear Evan Hansen, will write new songs for the movie. Mark Platt is on board to produce. Now, I do believe that the guys who are going to be doing the music also did the new song for Aladdin, the new Speechless song that kind of, from what I hear, felt very out of place for the movie. And even in the marketing, when they're like, oh yeah, Jasmine's got a new track where she gets to sing, it's kind of like her big Me Too moment, or I don't know, Me Too is the right thing to say, but anyway, her big moment. And it was kind of like, it felt like completely out of line with everything else in the movie. But man, then again, I haven't seen it yet, and I've heard no one complain about it specifically. And if you're kind of groaning over the idea of them making this, if you're groaning over the idea of them doing this movie, look, let's take a look here. So this is currently the Box Office Mojo take on the movies. The Disney's live action reimaginings. We can see Beauty and the Beast has a total domestic gross of 504 million, and worldwide over $1 billion. The Jungle Book 364, at least domestic, over $1 billion worldwide. I mean, you can look to see this list here. Even Maleficent did 241 million domestic. Yeah, that's why we're getting that really terrible sequel. Alice in Wonderland, again, 334 million domestic, and it grossed over $1 billion worldwide. Cinderella did a lot too. 101 Dalmatians from 96 did really well. Aladdin is doing well. Dumbo 112 million is really, like, it crossed 100 million. I don't think a lot of people saw it was going to do that. Alex Through the Looking Glass in 2010, or in 2013, I believe, that actually really died. And so did Pete's Dragon. Pete's Dragon also came out and kicked the bucket. But total domestically, $2.4 billion, right? $2.4 billion. So we already know that the film has made, these movies have made a lot of money. And with the Lion King coming out in just a couple months, and that expected to gross over $1 billion, Disney is flat out not going to stop. They're not going to stop. They're a juggernaut. They're a machine. But the thing is, though, we've also seen this story retold live action in 2011 with Snow White and the Huntsman. Now, granted, they're going to get a better Snow White than Kristen Stewart, who had less lines of dialogue, or fewer lines of dialogue in that movie than Rihanna did in Battleship from 2012. I think, like, really, Rihanna had like 64 lines of dialogue in that movie, and I think Kristen Stewart had like 40 or 50 or something like that. She barely spoke in that movie, and I think it helped make it enough money to get a sequel, if I'm being honest with you. Or maybe if she needed more lines of dialogue, she should have. Well, she slept with the director of that movie. She slept with the guy. You figure she would have gotten more lines of dialogue. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Snow White, Snow White and the Huntsman had the dwarves. It had the story, and the dwarves look great. So the technology is there in order to make the dwarves appear to be dwarvish. Now, whether or not they actually hire little people to be the characters is up for discussion. I have a feeling Peter Dinklage will most likely be cast as Grumpy, as I'm going to call that right now, or perhaps Doc. Look, no matter what, they're going like Tyrion. Get us Tyrion now. But if they don't cast little people in the roles, then you know what they're going to face. There's going to be so much backlash against it that they're going to have no choice. You're not just going to be able to use deep fake technology to put actors' faces on these little people actors. I want to say that correctly. Little persons' bodies, little people's actors, these actors, you know what, screw it, these actors' bodies. That's the best way to describe it. I don't want to diminish. I'm sorry if I did. But the actors' bodies, they're going to do that. And they shouldn't do that, in my opinion. But they also shouldn't probably make this movie. But then again, when everything else is pulling in billions upon billions of dollars, and they're a juggernaut, they're a machine, and they have to continue doing this, who am I to stop them? You know what I mean? Who am I to stop them? But who knows? Marc Webb could do a pretty decent job. Right, Mark, he could do a pretty decent job. I enjoyed The Amazing Spider-Mans for their interpersonal scenes. I enjoyed 500 Days of Summer for its interpersonal scenes. When it comes to directing drama and interpersonal drama, I think Marc Webb is good. I think Marc Webb could possibly give us a side of Snow White we haven't seen before. But then again, when you bring in somebody to expand upon the lore of Snow White, the question then becomes, is it going to be more like the grim fairy tale of which it's based, which is essentially a lot of what Snow White and the Huntsman was? Or is it going to take it to a more Disney-fied approach and not go that path and try something a little bit different? And at the same time, do we want it expanded? I mean, the grim story fairy tale was great, what it was. Do we need that to be expanded into something else? And I don't think we really do. This is a problem when the adaptations start trying to take on lives of their own. You know what I mean? It's kind of like somebody coming in and writing their own fanfic of it and saying this is now considered canon, and then everyone who complains being told to shove it. And that could be what happens here, depending on what they do. If they want to remake the movie, fine, remake the movie, but don't expand upon it. And I know they might feel they need to because the original is kind of a very streamlined story, but don't do that, because when you get into that territory, I think a lot of people lose interest because that's not what they want to see. But then again, at the same time, they kind of expanded a bit with Aladdin, and no one seems to care. Beauty and the Beast was a little bit different, but pretty much spot on, and that one did the most money. We'll have to wait and see whether or not anything with the Lion King gets expanded. But Dumbo added a few extra things, and people didn't take their kids to go see it. It's also a really depressing movie, just to be on the fair side. But anyway, this could be interesting. It could be good. Who knows? I want to know your thoughts, though. Are you thinking it's going to be good? Let me know. Thumbs up the video if you guys like. Comment below. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.